Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We are your award-winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast, and we return as Spurs do close in on their second signing of the summer. If you are listening for the very first time, you can find us on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're across all major audio platforms. We're of course on X, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook too, and we're back. We've got returning regulars. We've got a debut on Last Word on Spurs, a long-awaited debut. I tell you, we've been waiting for this debut for a very, very long time. Amen, we have. Like I say, thank you so much for joining us. As I mentioned, Spurs closing in on their second signing of the summer. We're going to come onto him in a minute. Let's bring in our panel for this one. I'm joined by, he's chatty, it's Patty. It's Chatty Patty back on. Patty, how are you, my man? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Vicky, you're killing me, man. Every time I want to watch the Portugal game, you interrupt me. And, you was like, yeah, we're going to start at 10 just after the game. Sod's law, the game's gone to extra time. I got the...
Shows you how much I've been tuning on about the Euros here. I didn't know the bloody game was on. But you came on, Pat, with me. You know, it's got extra time. Man. I mean, what's got extra time? I mean, a poor bloke last week. We started off at a decent 10 o'clock, 9:30, 8:35.
Exactly. So I missed the whole first half of the other Portugal game. Now I've got it on the screen above. So if you see my eyes gazing up and down, it's because I'm watching the game. Obviously, it's gone to extra time. So yeah, I've got Portugal in the sweepstakes as well. So I've got a vested interest in them, and obviously their team's stacked. I'm looking forward to Ronaldo's last swan song, possibly. Oh shit! It looks like they got a penalty. Okay. I got it on mute, so yeah. No one ruin it for me in the comments as well, because obviously I got my phone on Do Not Disturb. So yeah. Anyway, I'm happy to be here. Billy's here. I can't wait. The Twitter legend himself, Billy T, is in the house. First time on Last Word on Spurs. I'm looking forward to it, man.
Oh man, totally. Like I say, also back on the show. Always a pleasure to have her. You know she's going to bring the positive energy, the positive vibes. We've got the wonderful Christina Zanders back. Chris, how are you? You well?
Seems like ages. Literally seems like a year. I've been on here, but oh my god, last time I saw you guys, I mean, we all had a bit of a drink. Same with Billy as well, probably. But yeah, wicked to be on. Wicked to be on with Billy, my good pal, Billy here. But yeah, and Ricky, let's be honest, this isn't because you know about the schedule on Euros. This is all to do with Love Island. So you had it your way, you finished it, and now you're on the pod.
Listen, it's all good. It's all good. Casa Amor week. You know what's going down in that villa. It's always good vibes. We'll catch up on that, don't you worry, for sure. But listen, before we do, these guys are giving away the prize, what we've got tonight to bring to you. It's been a while since, it's been a long time since I've been trying to get this man on Last Word on Spurs. He's been doing the regulars in and around the Spurs community. For me, he's one of those that when you turn on X, you need a good laugh. You need something to pick you up. Just go to Billy T on Twitter, because for me, that's what you need to give you a pickup if ever you're in a bad mood. Just go and search one of his most recent X posts, and it's always decent laughter. It gives me my pleasure to welcome to Last Word on Spurs for the first time, hopefully many, the wonderful Billy T is in the building. Bill, thank you so much for blessing your presence. How are you?
Thank you very much, man. It's a pleasure. I feel like I've got an international call up. It's like my Euros debut. I feel like Colin Manu at the moment. I think I'm going to end the one at a left back like Saka, but I feel good.
All I can say is that we've set that bar so high now that, Archie Gray better be getting some kind of welcome after that welcome for Billy C. That's all I can say. Bill, thank you so much for joining us.
I've done my medical, though. I've done my medical. I've got the shirt and everything.
I heard you got the pillars tucked in at Hotspur way, right? They tucked you in nice and early for that one.
Of course, mate. Here
Love
we go.
That. Love that. Here we go there. Ability, here we go. That's when we're in proper business. Like I say, thank you so much for joining us. Quite a bit to discuss on this Last Word on Spurs. We are indeed going to be discussing Spurs nearing an agreement to sign Archie Gray. We know Joe Rodon is going to be going the other way now. And in terms of obviously what that means for Spurs in the rest of the market, that's what we're asking the guys. How does that potential signing of Archie Gray affect Spurs' business for the rest of this summer transfer window? I know, like I say, when you go on to a lot of the different rules of social media, I think it's fair to say there is a real split amongst the fan base on this one. I know there's many that are delighted Spurs have signed in what they believe one of the most upcoming, really young, talented prospects in the country. For some, there's a concern that will this move and the nature of the size of the fee affect Spurs or concern Spurs when it comes to trying to get some of their more prominent targets over the line. So we'll be coming on to that for sure. But just to give you the update as to where we stand on Archie Gray at the moment, we had a confirmation earlier today from David Ornstein where we are in regards to Archie Gray, and that is Spurs are near an agreement to sign Archie Gray from Leeds United, with defender Joe Rodon in talks to move back to Ellen Road on a permanent deal. Now, Leeds are saying the two deals are separate, with Spurs set to pay in the region of 40 million for Gray and Rodon heading the other way for 10 million. So the Spurs view on that is that they are paying 25 to 30 million for Gray, with Rodon part of that agreement. We understand that Gray has already completed his medical ahead of his proposed move to Tottenham. And for our listeners on audio on that commute, you may already be well aware that he may already be a Spurs player by the time you get this in your ears. We know that while Leeds are doing the paperwork on Rodon, which has been slightly delayed, as Bill also told us in the green room, the player's in Las Vegas at the moment, so God knows why it has taken so much longer. I wonder why it has taken so long. The player's in Las Vegas, absolutely loving life. We understand Gray is going to sign a 6-year contract with Spurs, and that deal is expected to go through on what we're now led to believe will be the Tuesday. For our listeners on audio, that will be for you later today. We know that deal was really put in place because of the nature of Leeds' situation around PSR. It didn't really mean the deal had to be done in terms of the next day or so, but what it did obviously do is put a squeeze on Leeds when it came to doing any future business for them, depending on when they had to get that deal done. So look, in terms of Joe Rodon, he spent last season on loan at Ellen Road. He made 50 appearances there in all competition, a very much fans' favourite. So it does feel to some degree Leeds are getting a player they really, really like. Tottenham are getting a player that certainly the scouting department seem to like a lot. In terms of the fan base, as I said, this one has caused a little bit of a stir. But look, it's a player that has played 52 times for Leeds in all competitions, a player that has got a real exciting future ahead of him. He may also be shaping Spurs' new look midfield. Bill, if you don't mind, I want to come to you to open up. Archie Gray to Spurs. We're looking at, again, that fee of around 40 million. But at Spurs, who is their plan between 25 to 30 with Rodon as part of the agreement. How does that make you feel, Archie Gray to Tottenham?
Yeah, I'm bummed about it, man. I think it's a really exciting signing. I see some people concerned about our budget going forward, but we shouldn't do. It shouldn't affect us whatsoever. We're rich as fuck, and really shouldn't make any impact on our future signings. Like, we can afford it. We've got pretty much an unlimited FFP window to play with, so I'm not worried about that at all. I think it's a really exciting sign. So I look at these two players I would really love to be at Tottenham right now, is like Eze and Adam Morton, and they're both come from Championship clubs in the last few years. And if we didn't sign Archie Gray, you just know that he'd be killing it somewhere else. And in a couple of windows' time, we're thinking we should have signed him. And we've got it done. So I've been looking forward to this kind of signing for a while because we missed out on a few that are ended up at Palace. So yeah, I'm buzzing and really excited to see him. He looks like a real player. I haven't really seen much of him myself, but everything about it sounds good.
I know, again, a lot of our Spurs fans are basing it on the YouTube compilations, which, look, to put it in some kind of perspective, I've got to say that Kevin, and Kuda look really good on YouTube, which I'm sure, Bill, you're going to remind us as well and tell us how good he looked on YouTube, as we know. We've seen a lot of players that look really good on YouTube down the years. And again, another player like that, again, I think there is genuine excitement. There is some concern, like I said, in regards to how much this will change and affect Spurs' future transfer budget. Chris, I want to bring you in. Fabrizio Romano tweeted, congratulations to Tottenham because they have signed one of the best talents in England. It was not an easy deal because Brentford were close to signing Archie Gray over the weekend. The deal was almost done, even with a medical ready for the player. But then between the clubs, there were some issues in and around the structure of the deal, the structure of the payment. And so Tottenham had enough time to enter into conversations with the player to essentially get that deal done and to close the deal for Gray. So the deal was going to be worth somewhere in the region of 40 million. As part of that deal, as we know, Joe Rodon is going to be going the other way. Many clubs are following the player. What I heard is that before Brentford, around April and May, Borussia Dortmund really tried hard to make things happen to Gray, to Germany, but then he decided to wait for opportunities in England. And now Tottenham complete this deal, so it's done. We're just awaiting for the official statement. Chris, how do you feel in the back of the signing? I feel you're one that always does champion players that come through the door and want to see him given an opportunity. Any concern for you over this signing, or are you excited to see him in a Lee White shirt?
Sounds fantastic to me from what I've been reading. If you look at all the Leeds fans, they're absolutely gutted. So to me, that's excellent. So as well, Ange Postecoglou, a young signing for him. He's more manageable. They come in, they want to prove themselves. I think this is a good opportunity for this kid. He looks great from what I've read as well. He's had like Young Player of the Year. He's been playing for under 21s for England. And so, he's getting a lot of experience. So I think it's going to be great for us. And now with Europa League, this is a good time for us to get these players, start rotating. We mentioned it before with, Ange's style of play. The rotation is going to be key for us with the pace that we're going to be going out and, attacking football. I think it's going to be exciting for him. And, it's like I said, we need that attitude where youngsters want to come in now and they want to prove themselves. They want to be proud to wear the shirt. And I think this is what we need to do. We need to think of the future at Tottenham now. And this is exactly what is, building up at this club. There's been, various signings, last season, where we feel like it's all coming together for the future at Tottenham. So as well, we need to trust a little bit with the people that are doing their job now and actually analysing these players, because I feel, you know, fans can be very judgmental on this, but from last season, I feel like we have improved with that massively. I mean, look at the signs on Vicario. Everyone wanted Raya. Everyone was, you know, down for that. And then we went and brought Vicario, who nobody knew. And can I just say, thank God we did buy him. He's been absolutely excellent. And, you know, Dragusin as well, who I think has been absolutely brilliant during this Euro. So I feel like we need to maybe trust those people who are actually analysing these players now and looking out for them. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Pat, you want to bring you in? We understand that Graham Bailey's reported that Gray decided to join Spurs after speaking directly with Ange Postecoglou about his plans for the club, and that he persuaded him that a move to the club was right for him. His family also gave their approval to the move after they heard Postecoglou's ideas. It feels like another one that Ange has picked up the phone on and convinced him that Spurs is the right club for him. I joked in the green room that if a player needs convincing to go from Brentford to Spurs, that would concern me. But look, it's a lovely bit of PR there again on the basis that Ange has picked up the phone. How do you feel about the move, Patty? Are you in favour of this one?
Yeah, good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everyone if you're tuning in and listening to this on a rerun or tomorrow. And yeah, man, I'm buzzing about it. I mean, when I put the tweet out earlier this morning, when I saw the news and I got a few like Arsenal fans and rivals, well done if you hijack Brentford, or what's that saying, and all that, congratulations, you beat Brentford to a player. But for me, the exciting thing is that at Brentford, a player of his caliber and quality will more than likely play week in and week out, game in and game out. And someone who's that young, they're looking to the next move, obviously to put themselves out there, mold themselves and go where they're going to play. So for Ange to obviously make the call and say to him, yeah, you're coming to a bigger team. You may not get as many minutes as you would at Brentford, but we believe in you. You're going to get game time. Obviously, you're going to come and be around better players. And it's a massive thing for us to obviously bring the player into Spurs and believe in him. And I like it because it's all well and good, you know, fans being moany and pessimistic and negative. Oh, he's a championship player. He's only 18. He's this, he's that. But there's been so many talented, like Billy said, there's been so many, and Christina, I think, there's been so many talented players in the championship that we've looked at. And then for whatever reason, we've not gone for it, maybe been a bit like, oh, he might not be ready, he might not be ready for the move or that. And then a couple of years later, you see them and they're now worth 50, 60 million. And it's very hard to then get your hands on them. I think with Spurs at the moment, it looks like, and obviously the window is very early. So when people are going crazy, I don't really understand it. But if you're future planning, so you're bringing in a couple of star-padded quality youngsters, like your Bergervelds and obviously your Archie Grays, and then you do go out and you get your Ezes or your Tonys or whoever, you're literally buying for now, and you're also making sure that in the long term, you're doing your succession planning and making sure that the squad is of the right age to continue to grow and basically mold and grow together. So I really like it. And let's have it right. The guy's a talent, man. He's a very, very good player. When I put the tweet out earlier, one of my good friends, he's a Leeds fan. He's called London Leeds, massive Leeds fan. He lived in Leeds and then obviously now is in London, and he goes to all the games, watches obviously Leeds week in and week out. And he said the guy's such a talent. He's literally press resistant, so hard to get the ball off, got a great engine on him. And the thing is about him is that he's so composed beyond his years. He's only 18. And when you watch him, I've watched him in a couple of games. I'm not going to sit here and gaslight you and say I watch loads of Leeds United games because I don't. But when I have watched him, he's looked good. And obviously, if you watch the clips, just look how comfortable he is on the ball in terms of his dribbling and running at players and how he can drop a shoulder. And literally, he's very silky on the ball. And yeah, he's young. He's going to be raw, but it looks good. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited. And just looking on like transfer market and looking at all the stats, can play as a right back, inverted right wing back, can play as a almost not, I wouldn't say a DM, but like a 6-6, a centre mid. He's a number 8. He can be up and down that pitch, but he's good on the ball. And that's what we need with players in Ange's system. You have to be really brave. You're going to be put in very testing situations, and you've got to be able to beat that man and obviously push the ball forward. And he can definitely do that.
Bill, I want to come back around if I can. You know, we're having reports coming through that Archie Gray is excited to go as a Tottenham player with Ange. Postecoglou wanting to trust the project with young players. I joked off air with you guys that when you look at last season, what he gave to the young players in terms of minutes, there wasn't a huge amount of minutes there. And I just feel with a lot of Spurs managers that, as you know, Bill, from all the years we've been subjected to these managers. I'm not saying we've been subjected purposely. Look, I think we all still love Ange for the moment, but it does have a feeling with managers that they are so accustomed to needing to win that they can't always give the appropriate minutes to youth players because they're under pressure to win games. I mean, do you genuinely feel we're going to see a different element to Spurs next season where there's going to be a real twist when it comes to more the youth getting minutes? How do you see that playing out next season with, of course, Europa League and the domestic cups?
Yeah, I think that's the big difference is Europa League. I mean, we played the minimum amount of games last season because we got knocked out of the first round of both cups, and we won in the Europe, so we had no chance whatsoever. So I think this time, the Europa League is a big difference. I think the group games of the Europa League are not easy though, so it's going to be difficult to find the balance. Because remember when we played in the Conference League under Nuno, he started Scarlett in the home games, and there he hooked him half time. It's not really an effective way to play youngsters if you play them against these teams that are going to be going on out for it. But I hope we can get the balance right because we've got so many exciting young players, and I'm getting to the stage now where players like Donnelly and Mikey Moore and people like that, if we're not playing them, they're going to go. And we've got such amazing talents in there. I really want to see some Bergwall. I really want to see some Mikey Moore. I want to see some Donnelly. So yeah, it looks like he might go on low. But I think Europa League is the game changer in all of it.
Yeah, look, fingers crossed. I will just say one thing, and bear in mind, people are going to laugh about my mic issues on this show that I've had. Bill, I'm getting a slight bit of feedback from your mic at all. Is everyone getting the same a little bit? I don't know, Bill, you maybe want to switch to headphones, or we maybe try and lose the mic and give you a couple of minutes at all to sort that.
It's cutting in and out a bit, Billy. Yeah. It's cutting in and out.
People will laugh because I've had mic issues all week, and I've been saying to the audience, I've been trying to sort my mic out, and now I'm out. I now feel I'm lecturing someone from the guests here to go and bring one on. I've got a cheek to do so after the issues I've had. So look, we'll let Bill sort that out in the background. If we need to jump offline, we'll let him do so and come back on. Chris, I want to bring you in on this. As a player, look, again, 18 years of age, gifted, talented star. As we said, played 50 times last season. Can you understand, Chris, when the fan base look at a signing like this, there is an element of concern that we're spending such a huge amount of money on him, a fee that, as we know, is in the region. Once obviously Spurs are saying it's between 25 to 30 million when you consider the road on elements, him going to Leeds. Can you understand where there are fans concerned if this is going to affect the nature of what Spurs will do in the market when it comes to trying to go for some of their more prominent targets?
I can and I can't, but it's just, there's been a habit of that previously, but for me, I feel like it's got better, and we've always been that, the fan base where we've criticized a player so much, and then actually they've ended up being, huge. Gareth Bale, for example, Pedro Porro, these players, and that's why I just feel like it's good to have opportunities for these youngsters. I mean, where else are they going to get an opportunity like this? I think it's good for football in general as well. And just, from what this guy can do, I'm not going to sit here and say that I know him very well. I've watched him because I haven't. I've just seen, a few snippets, but he looks pretty confident on the ball. He's quite creative with it. Tries to, keep with the ball, which is what we struggle with a lot of the time, is keeping the ball. So he just looks very creative on it. And I feel like, why not? We've got Europa League now. Like I said, I think it's going to be a good opportunity to bring in these youngsters, mix them all up, and start playing with them. My concern is like what Billy said, though. I'm worried that we're going to lose out on these huge talents, that they're going to go elsewhere and then become a great success because, we've built these players from scratch now. So use them. And I think that's why we've got a great manager. I think Ange is going to love it. It's going to be easy for him to manage, They're not going to have, hopefully, not as big egos, bad attitude as well. So I just think it's, I think we've just got to have a little bit more faith in our club at the moment. I know there's obviously going to be speculations with all of that because, there's someone a lot higher up who a lot of people, which I completely understand that, don't like and don't agree with. But it's like I said, I feel like there's been signings recently where we have been wrong, about our judgment, and they've proved us right. So whatever player comes in at the end of the day and signs for Tottenham, I'm going to fully support them. Whoever wears our badge, whoever wears a shirt, I'm going to always fully support them.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely fair and right to do so. I mean, again, we want to get behind players. Everyone's got an opinion. I think, again, this signing, to some degree, from what I've seen, does split opinion because I think there is a concern, Patty, coming over to you, that there is that worry that when you're forking out a sizable amount, which they are doing, if that's going to affect them when it comes to, as I've said, more the prominent targets. We know Eberechi Eze is one Spurs like a lot. Will that affect Spurs going for a player like that, for example, if another club comes in for him. But again, that's a bit of a different situation because, again, there's a release clause there that really, if Spurs want the player, they've just got to obviously match that release clause to some degree and hopefully get the player over the line. But how do you see it, Pat, for you? I mean, the thing that Chris says there with Ange, she expects him to trust young players next season. With no disrespect, last season, you could say he didn't really have the opportunity to trust them last season because we got knocked out of both domestic cups fairly early. There was no European football. Do you think it'll be different this time around? And I think, again, as a follow-up point, if you don't mind me asking you on this, you know, we saw with Maurizio actually in his second season that there was a real overhaul of a lot of the age group there in terms of trying to bring the profile down in terms of the age to more of a younger squad. Do you think that's what? Do you think Andy said that? Do you think that's what Ange needs in terms of there being a change in terms of the age profile there? Because it's already quite a fairly young squad when you consider the range of ages Spurs have got in that team, really, to some degree.
Yeah, I think it's already happening and you wouldn't realise it. But obviously, Mickey van der Ven is relatively young. Well, he's very young for a centre-back. Sarr got trusted with X amount of minutes and he's very young. If you look across, I mean, Udogie, obviously we will forget about him because he got injured, but he's brilliant. He's young and he got trusted and he got thrown right in the deep end. So I think for Ange, if you're good enough, no matter your age, you'll play. And of course, a lot of the youngsters who were really knocking at the door and doing so fantastic in under-21s didn't get the minutes that we as fans would have loved. But realistically, we were fighting for top four. I know in the end we slipped away. We only finished 2 points outside of that bracket. There wasn't really the opportunity to play them. Some may have argued that we could have played 1 or 2 at right back, you know, when we had issues there. But realistically, you don't really want to chastise a youngster, put them in at the deep end. They have an absolute nightmare. And then, you know, there's big question marks. I mean, look how our fan base are now. So imagine if a player had a really bad game and they're young, it could be curtains for the youngster mentally as well. So I think with this new season coming and obviously the amount of games we'll have, I don't see a problem with that. And that's why, for me, I'm excited about the signing. It shows that we trust the player. To put 40 million down on the youngster, it shows that we obviously believe in him and we can see that there's a pathway for him into the first team. And obviously, he's going to play. If the rumours are right about Højbjerg possibly leaving, Skip leaving, then why wouldn't Archie Gray play? He looks just as composed, if not better, on the ball than both of those guys. And obviously, if Ange is bringing him in, then he's going to play him. And Ange is the one that's basically co-signed the signing. And you also have to, as well, a lot of fans are thinking about the previous recruitment people and everything else. The recent recruitments and signings have all pretty much, there's been more booms than busts, so to speak. So, Udogie, Sarr, Van der Ven, Dragusin, who's also very young for a centre-back. He came in January. All the youngsters and all the people coming in recently have all pretty much taken like a duck to water for Spurs. So I don't really see the problem. I don't think it will affect the Eze and whoever else we're going after. I know we keep saying Eze, but that's a name that we all really want. And, maybe if it's a Tony or whoever it is, I don't see that being a problem. Like, Spurs have more than enough money to spend. There's no issues with PSR. We all know that we're a very rich club. Obviously, let's see what happens, man. I can't be upset and negative and pessimistic this early on in the windows when you got Euros, you got Copa Americas. So when I see people in the comments, I'm like, just relax a bit, man. Like, there's still so much more to go with the transfers. And I think it's a positive to bring a youngster in early for that much. It shows that the club are thinking about the future, and the guy's good anyway. So I'm all good.
I did very last
Ricky, can I just add as well?
Please.
There's just one concern with it. Well, not one concern, but bringing in these young players. The thing is, I feel like our fan base can be really brutal at times, and if they make their debut and it's a bit hit and miss, whatever. That's what I'm concerned about, is if the fans really go in and start to be brutal, where they completely knock their confidence down, and then they just feel like they've got no hope at this club. That's what I get a bit concerned with the fan base at this club. I really do. So I just kind of hope everyone just kind of gets on board and gets behind the team with whoever we sign. That's just a concern that I have with it.
I mean, look, there's a player in himself.
Just to go back to what Christina said, I think we're never going to get a united fan base, no matter what it is. But I do think that people need to look at your Gareth Bales, your Aaron Lennons, your Danny Roses, your Carl Walkers. These are all guys that came in.
Harry Kane, even.
Harry Kane, exactly, young. A lot of people doubted them to begin with. And then obviously once they progressed, even if you look at Brennan Johnson, he's relatively young. And he had a season where again, the fan base is still divided. I think he's a quality player. I think he had a really good season considering. But the fan base is still divided. We're never going to be united in that.
The hard thing is we're asking a fan base to be patient when we've been patient for 20 years.
Yeah, I know.
20,
That's
Which
25
I
years.
get, yeah.
I think this is the tricky thing. I mean, Brill bringing you in. Look, he's a midfielder by trade, but he played the vast majority of last season operating as a right back. I mean, you could also say the fact that, again, for Spurs, kind of covers two areas, which for them, that may be a great possibility. When you look into, obviously, offload Emerson Royale, it looks like that move to AC Milan is in the offing. You think that will be fairly close to being done to some degree now, given how close it was a couple of weeks ago. Maybe, again, it's a case of waiting for the relative international tournaments to wrap up before that deal does go through. I mean, you know, but we're sitting here discussing, of course, the fact around the Ange factor. Will he get game time? Is it a case that, you know, the player can adapt to the Premier League? Is he young star? I mean, I think you said it earlier, and you look at the reaction from Leeds fans, they're absolutely devastated to be losing what they consider to be a rule for them, big generational star.
Yeah, speaking of being devastated, can I just take this time to say thank you to Emerson Royale for everything he's done for our club. He's taken us to the next level. Life will never be the same without him, and I probably will shed a few tears. So, Emerson, thank you for what you've done for the culture and for the club. I know exactly how they feel because I'm going through it too.
I think we've just done the Emerson Royale show for that. I think you've done it for Bill. We'll just release that bit out there. That's done. That's perfect.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's exciting because I think the thing is what happened with us last season is we played Porro and Udogie in pretty much every game and let them both out by the end of the season. So it's going to be good to have someone who can play inverted right back because the guy Emerson Royale can do a lot of things. He can rap, but he can't really play right back and assist. So yeah, I think it's a really good move.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, I do understand when I look at the, you know, the situation around the signing. For me, I think it's a real positive one because when you look at, again, the different aspects, what you can bring to Spurs, I think, again, I always get excited by signings. You know, I'm one of those that does like to think on the Vera positivity. When you're looking at bringing a player in, he is gifted, he is 18, he's a player that has got so much abundance of potential. But again, I know many have been looking at it, comparing it to Jack Clarke, for example. All I would say on that is that Jack Clarke came into a club at a time when we were just changing managers. And, you know, at that point, it wasn't the greatest time, I think, to be signing for Spurs. I mean, that, as we know, 2019 window definitely, you know, haunted us all to some degree. We'll come on to Sessegnon in a little bit where he's ending up at the moment. But I think it tells you really where Spurs are, that, you know, at the moment, if you've got a manager that is going to give you for chance and is going to change up the midfield, I think that's going to be a really interesting thing for next season. I just wonder, the thing is now, when you look at the team itself, Chris, coming over to you, and if everyone I know have kind of on social media have been having this idea where they'd love to see a midfield of the likes of Sarr, Bergvall, and then this young kid, Archie Gray. For as great as that looks, I mean, I look at that now and think, God, we're lacking some real experience there. We're about to let 𝐅𝐵 go. Is it, again, really important that this window, we don't just have that emphasis on the fact that we've got a new look midfield, it could all be great, but there needs to also be a real central focus on bringing some experience into the team, because it's still a side that last season considered 61 goals in all competitions, 14 from set pieces. Do you agree that there needs to be also an emphasis on bringing in, that word winners, but people that have been there, done it and won it to help this young team? Because it appears that's the way Spurs are going. It is going to be a fairly young side if Ange gets his way, if according to reports, that is what he wants.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, midfield, 100%. We've got to be, you know, there's got to be a priority in there. Another priority is for a striker. I know we've had conversations about, you know, with Richarlison, should we keep him? If there's an offer that comes in, do we keep him or do we sell him? I personally think we should keep him now. My head's been a bit confused with it all, but realistically, I feel like Premier League clubs are going to be really looking into strikers soon. I don't think there is that much that is going on at the moment with strikers. And I feel like with Richie, I think he's a decent backup, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be going out to get someone even better. And that is what we need to do. It's as much as we have, you know, backups, we need someone even better. Like, it's just, we need them with the level that we're going to go on with Ange Ball now. It's going to be like full on attack. So we need to be having those backup players. So yeah, and I feel like when you have experienced players that come into the club, they're going to be helping out the youngsters as well. It's just, it's going to be, it's just something that we really, really must do. I mean, there's so many players that we're thinking of that we're going to hopefully get, and I want to be confident that we're going to, but it's just, yeah, is it going to get it done? I don't know. It's going to be. I'm a bit nervous for this transfer window because I am going to be so positive and I want to have so much faith in us right now. But it's just if we actually do get the job done, I'm really hoping so. And I'm not even that. I want us to get it done early as well, early and as soon as possible, because before any of these lot start to go, especially when the Euros finish, you know, that's when everyone's going to be flying in and trying to get some, you know, signings in. So we need to be damn quick on it. And I'm hopefully there is already talk, you know, going on, and you know, conversations are happening. I'm very sure, but for me, I really do think a striker is a priority, and I think we need to really go in fast on that, because I think other Premier League clubs are going to be looking into that as well.
Oh, listen, as we all know, Chris, they all look at the same targets. Again, it's a case of how quickly do you move. And as we know, we saw it last season, Ange does like to get his players in early. So once that Euros does come to an end and accelerates to a finish, I think you are going to see a window where things are going to start picking up and things are going to start moving. And, you know, again, when you look at the fact, you know what, Pat, come over to you. I feel so... You can see Pat's eyes on the pens.
This Diego Costa saved about 6 penalties. It's absolutely mental.
Right, forget Macario. What much did it cost?
Oh, it's insane. He saved like every penalty he's faced. And Ronaldo, it's been a lot going on. Ronaldo's cried because he missed a penalty in real time, but then he scored his penalty in penalties, and then he did like the I'm sorry face. And by the way, shout out to the Leeds fan who then said something positive, and then obviously I ignored the last part.
And then told us we won't win anything.
Cheers, Steve. Thanks for that. But
pretty standard as a Spurs fan. I mean, there you go, standard, right?
I'm ignoring the last part. It's funny when teams that don't win anything and they're in the Championship are trying to banter you. It's mental. But anyway, here we go. We move.
Can I just say, Pat, one thing I want to ask you in regards to the midfield is, you know, Ange called for change. We need change. That's what he said last season. You know, is there that element of risk when you are going to overhaul the midfield? That, again, that second season of adaptation where players are coming in, it's a new look team to some degree. Players are going to have to find their feet again. Do you have a concern with that for you? Or again, is it a case that we need to back the manager and trust him? Because I think we saw at the back end of last season, 5 defeats in the last 7. And I think, you know, again, we look at Anfield being one of the prime examples. We didn't see a team there fighting for each other, playing in the right direction, or, you know, really as a side looking to assert themselves. Does it need an overhaul, that midfield? Can you see us going for a real young midfield like that next season?
Mate, the whole team needs an overhaul. The whole squad does. If we're being realistic, and as much as we banter other clubs that say we don't win things, we don't. Like, if we're being honest, like, we're good enough to have won some sort of silverware in the last 10 years. You know, we are a team that finished second, third, fourth, whatever you call it. I mean, Man United finished 8th last year and they won a trophy. They finished 4th the season before that and they won a trophy. I've seen teams that get relegated and win trophies. So the fact is that we've been as good as we have been. Had some world-class players coming through the doors and leaving, still here, still haven't won stuff. So the reality is this team hasn't won anything. So as good as we feel they've been and all of that stuff, and as much as we love this player and that player and people that are coming in and out, currency, you know, trophies is currency in football. And at the moment, we're not talking any sort of language in that sense because we haven't won anything. So the team doesn't.
Chris looked confused when you said that. She didn't know. She didn't even know what a trophy was to some degree there for a second. She was like, "What's he on about? What's one of them?"
Silverware.
That's
I've only seen inflatables of them.
Mate, it's crazy.
That's a different topic. Don't start that conversation for that. I'll keep with you, Pat.
I'm on so many different podcasts and I interact with different fans from all over, and that's the one thing they always get out of trophies. You're not gonna, like, you know, this guy congratulated us for bringing in Archie Gray, but then said, you're still not going to win anything. So we need to change that. We need to change that sort of mindset that people have about us, and it will take some sort of, you know, we need a manager that is brave. As much as Ange frustrates me, and I feel that's the stubbornness did kill us at times, he did show me in a Man City game and then later on in other games that he does have some sort of tactical intelligence and nous, and he can change it up. We need that going forward. I'm sure, you know, they say Ange is no mug, he knows what he's doing, and I mean, he's out there in the Euros doing good commentary and punditry. He knows what he's talking about.
He's been pretty good on it.
Yeah, he's been very good. And it's clear that he knows the game very well. He talks a good talk. He can walk the walk. We've seen that 3 Manager of the Month awards at the beginning of the season. So I'm trusting in what he's doing at the moment. And then, you know, let's just see. And the fans need to also do it. The fans need to change our mentality. We need to believe in what's coming in. Of course, yes, some mumblings and murmurs are going to be there because we haven't won anything. I get it. But if we're the same guys that, oh, we should have got Wharton. Oh, we should have got, Alex Scott.
That's a very good point. That I mean, look,
we should
there's
have done
fans
this.
that
We should
were
have done that.
there's fans absolutely fuming. Pat, just to interrupt you, there are fans absolutely fuming when Brentford did agree a fee for, of course, the player, and it looked like they're going to beat us to him. So I feel like you can't win.
You can't win. You can't win. Elise when he was at Reading, Eze when he was at QPR, if I'm right. Wharton when he was at, I can't remember where Wharton was at, but again, all these top players, and there's players all over, and we're always like, oh, we should have got them, and then when they go somewhere else, then we moan. So it takes a bit of everything. And don't get me wrong, if we're signing players of just Archie Gray championship level only, no matter how good they are, that's not the answer. But you need a bit of everything. I want, like Christina was saying, I want a ready-made striker, Ivan Toney or 𝐂𝐤, someone that is, can get you 20 goals a season, is the finished article. I don't want an up-and-coming striker that we have to mould and wait a couple of years. But I want other players that are coming in. Obviously, Højbjerg's leaving. We need a 6 or an 8 that can come in and slot right in. But we do need players that are at different levels as well, so that the team can grow. So for me, I don't see it as a problem. Going back to your question about Ange, I think it's smart what we're doing. You have to trust him. We've got more than enough games for him to blood people in. There was question marks about Pedro Porro before the season started. There was question marks about Destiny Udogie. Obviously, question marks over Vicario. Those all got answered very quickly. So I don't really see the problem yet. Allow Ange to do what he's doing, and let's just keep moving. But the fans need to get the team as well going forward. We need to believe and back the team. Don't walk out if we're 2-0, 3-0 down. Believe in the team. The game's 90 minutes, 96, 97, 98 minutes. Believe in the team all the way, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, I think that is really important. That going to next season, I think we have got to be behind the manager and behind the plan. But at the same time, and again, people have had. They've seen obviously my concerns and frustrations in regards to the manager at times, but at the same time, you have to remember again, he's dealing with the last 4 or 5 manager squads. It's not even really his own team yet. You've got to give the guy, his 3rd window now, the opportunity to rubber stamp that. Final things, Bill, I want to say just in regards to Gray. Look, I don't want to go too overboard because we know he's tucked up in the pillows of Hotspur Way and has yet to actually fully be announced as a Spurs player. He might well be, for those on the commute listening back to this in the morning, he will be a Spurs player. But look, I think a real couple of key things that come into this signing is the fact that he will be considered homegrown. I think, in the next couple of years, that's really key for Spurs in that aspect of it, which again is really important for them. And he made more tackles than any other player aged 21 and under in the Championship, 97. Also a stat on this, it will be the biggest transfer fee for a teenager that hasn't gone to Real Madrid, 4th highest ever, given that fee. It's quite a big tag to have over you. I mean, look, he's a young, promising player, one that I think, again, to play in front of Leeds fans, got to say, Ellen Road is not an easy place to play at. Again, it's a place that does test you, does demand you, a fan base that really doesn't take anything less than giving you absolutely everything. How did it all handle that, Bill? Was it difficult to say? Will it be a case of seeing this guy in pre-season and going from there?
Yeah, man. It's funny you mentioned Real Madrid. I already seen an article linking with Real Madrid today from Goal. They're already saying Archie Gray hoping to follow in the footsteps of Modric and Bale. It doesn't even fucking time for us. He's already getting linked to Real Madrid. So I think that shows a lot about the player.
Let's hope it's not a Willie and another hijack. He'll be going in the morning, though, and all up, Bill.
Yeah, exactly. We got Real Madrid tomorrow, trust me. But I think with these players, you can see it pretty much straight away if they've got it or not. And when Dele Alli first came, you could see it straight away that he had that sort of mentality. On his debut, he played against Real Madrid, and that makes Modric. You could just tell. And I think, from what I gather, Archie Gray is made of the same cloth, so I think he'll be fine. He's in a really good environment. They're like, the way Ange and people like that, and people like Sonny, they back these young players, they look after these young players. I think he's in a really good environment, and I have no doubt he's going to be a big player for us. But I think he's got the right manager, the right team around him, and I just hope he gets some minutes, man, because so many, the protection that our defense didn't have last season was a big issue, and someone making that many tackles is going to be massively needed in midfield because we didn't get stuck in enough. We didn't have much protection in front of that defense in Postecoglou's system. So I think it has all the makings to be a huge transfer for us, I think.
Yeah, look, let's hope so. Look, I think again at the moment, until it's done deal and it's ink dried, I think we'll leave it there with regards to Archie Gray, but one to keep excited about. And look, again, I think Chris say it so well on this show. At the end of the day, I just think the players coming through the door, we can at least give the guy our support. I mean, look, from day one, if he's going to start getting hampered upon and, really being negative about it, I just don't see how it helps the player or helps anyone. So, look, I think we're all going to be behind the player. Fingers crossed he hits the ground running, looks really good in pre-season, and we go from there. We know, of course, Leeds are going to be having Joe Roden as part of that deal. you look at the way he formed a strong partnership with Ethan and Purdue last season. That was a real decent partnership that Leeds had there, and it's one for him that they'll be looking to build upon that. It's a great move for him as a player. We know at the moment he's currently in Santa Barbara, California on a training camp ahead of the new season, although as Bill has told us, he's also been in Las Vegas, so this guy gets about. So good luck to him. Like I say, he's having a good time wherever he is at the moment, and he's just pocketed a decent-sized fee as well. So Joe Rodham, we wish you the best of luck for the future, that is for sure. What we are going to do, we are going to go for our first break of the show for our listeners and audio. We've got over 3,500 of you that are watching us live on X, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. As always, thank you so much for all your incredible support for the show. I'm joined by Chatty Patty. I'm joined by the returning Christina Zanders. Let me get the words out. It won't let me come out. And I'm joined by, look, his first debut on the show. First of many. We've got the Billy T in the building. Oh, God. Taking a while. Billy T's on Last Word on Spurs. And the jokes have commenced. Not literally, they have commenced. Right. Bergvall, it is officially his first day as a Spurs player. Interesting that Spurs have got him through the door on the same day they've agreed a deal for Archie Gray. We say, look, a big part of Spurs' future. I think a player that we all want to see in pre-season. Pat, your feelings on the fact that, look, first day as a Spurs player, Lucas Bergvall, again, a lot of expectancy around another young player where hopefully, again, pre-season's going to test a lot, Pat, isn't it? You know, again, we're going to be back for pre-season. There's a lot of games we'll be covering here on Last Word on Spurs. How much, Pat, will you take away from pre-season as your overall verdict before you go into the actual start of next season? Is it really important that you see these players perform well in pre-season? Is it any kind of a gauge for you?
It's interesting because we can take a lot from pre-season, like Billy said, but also we can't get carried away. We've seen players have fantastic pre-seasons and not be great, but you can kind of just gauge the composure. As long as the game's at a decent intensity, then you can see a lot. But, you know, Bergvall's another one. I mean, we signed him for like 8.5 million. Again, he's 18, same age as Archie Gray. We beat Barcelona. Literally, this guy was on the plane to Barcelona to sign for at the new camp. And somehow we hijacked them, got that one through the door. So,
someone check that guy's brain, will you? For God's sake.
Dragerson was going to sign for Bayern Munich, and we obviously got him as well. So there is something bubbling. There's something going on. So
it's the magic of Ange on the phone.
That's it. As soon as Ange does that, then the players, it's a wrap. So it's lovely, man. It's lovely to see again another talented youngster who is chosen his future to be at Spurs to get to that next level. And I'm excited to see. Obviously, you know, the Swedish league, with all due respect, I was going to say disrespect, but you know when people always say that, they are going to disrespect.
Pat's putting down already. He's not even been covering the door yet.
So we need to see what he's like at the next level. But he looks a very, very good talent, and I'm excited, to see what he's about. It'll be interesting because we've also got obviously all of our youngsters knocking at the door. So it'll be interesting to see what Ange does with them in pre-season. So we have got a few games lined up. I know we've got the Bayern Munich game, we've got QPR, we're doing a few other games overseas as well. So there'll be lots of games, and it will be really interesting to see who plays and where they play and what's going on. But exciting times ahead, definitely.
Can I ask you on this point, Pat? You know, you just put it out there. How do you think a lot of the academy players will feel? They've just got on one another trophy, and they've just seen Spurs spend near on 30 million, 35 million on yet another young talent. They probably think to themselves, well, on the second, does that push me down the pecking order even further? Am I not going to give an opportunity? How do you think the young players feel?
I believe that they'll be of the mindset where if I'm good enough, I'll get through anyway. Like, honestly, if you're good enough, I feel that there will be a pathway. It may not be at Tottenham, which I hate to say, but if you're good enough, you will definitely get your opportunity. And once you get your opportunity, you need to take it. There's injuries, there's suspensions, there's lack of form, there's lack of fitness, there's all of these things. And you know, when Maddison was going through his issues and he didn't look quite at it, and you know, other players may not have looked as good as they are, hopefully some of these guys will get the minutes then. And I do feel that if you're good enough, you'll get opportunity. I don't see Ange having an issue playing youngsters. He has everywhere he's been at. Obviously Tottenham last year, maybe he didn't blood some of them in, but it was difficult when you're playing one game a week, and we was under quite an intense moment of, you know, especially with all the tough games back to back to back. So it was maybe a bit more difficult than it should have been. But I feel that these guys, if they're good enough, they will play. Some may have to go out on loan. That is the nature of the beast with football as well. To get consistent minutes, you know, like Ashley Phillips, who's another talented youngster knocking on the door. go out on loan, play half a season there, maybe come back, maybe stay there for the full season. Dane Scarlett as well. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him. If we get another striker in, will he stay in and around the mix, or will he go out on loan for 6 months? So, you know, it's a good question, Ricky. But I do feel the mentality of these kids has got to be, I'm good enough. I just need to keep doing what I'm doing and I'll make it.
Yeah. And look, to be fair on that point, Pat, I mean, look, however many minutes it was, depending on how you want to judge volume, Mikey Moore did get a few minutes. Jamie Donnelly did get a few minutes. We understand Jamie Donnelly on the back end of last week was in talks with Oxford United over a potential move there. So look, I think, again, just to be clear, that was only on a loan. It will be interesting to see, Pat, those players that do end up going out on loan, because I think, again, you know, some of those players will be desperate to play football, and we don't want a situation coming over to you, Bill, where we're going to stunt the development of these players, because someone like Jamie Donnelly, you look at him and just think, this guy needs to be playing week in, week out football. I think when you look at the guy, some of the goals he scored last season, the one against Liverpool, for example, I mean, this guy should be in and around, if not a championship side, then certainly top-end League One. I mean, how important is that for you, Bill, that we're not going to stunt the development of some of these younger players by the fact that we're bringing in a lot of younger players, as we've seen, again, Bergvall, Gray this summer?
Yeah, I think it's essential, man. It's not traditionally, we're not the best at it. Like, we've had a couple of successful loans. Oliver Skip to Norwich was a good loan, but it's not something we tend to get that right that often. We have a lot of loans that don't seem to work out. I think if you think about Valise, for example, I don't think he played any minutes for Seville last season. So I don't think we're the best at it. I definitely see the value in it, because Jamie Donnelly is a brilliant player. And this sort of time where you need to be playing your minutes, you need to be getting your match fitness, you need to be getting that game time under your belt, is really, really important. And we've seen how much it can work for like Harry Kane, Oliver Skip, players that have gone out loan and return a much better player. And I think the sad reality is, like, these players are just going to go to like Germany, and that's the kind of thing that they do. If they don't get minutes in England, they're going to go abroad and get minutes elsewhere, and like the German clubs love signing them. So Donnelly is a really special talent, and I hope that we do everything we can to sort of his career right, because I think he's going to be a huge player for us. But if we kept him this season, he got minutes, and you'll be thinking of him leaving in the summer. So I definitely think loan would be a good thing for him.
Yeah, that's a very fair point to make then. Actually, again, we saw that report earlier from Fabrizio Romano. Chris, coming over to you. We saw there was interest in Gray from Borussia Dortmund. You know, they do seem to love picking up players of a youth level, improve them, develop them, and either sell them for a big fee or make them into generational stars, which they have done. And, you know, again, I'd be interested to see with Spurs how they do manage that. Because, again, we know next season, Chris, we've obviously got Europa League football. It means, again, Thursday, Sunday. There is really that opportunity there to try and develop and blend in some of the youth players. But, again, you know, I feel like I'll be very hypocritical, Chris. I'll be the same person moaning if we go have a cup competition for fielding 8 players that are youth and we don't go through. How do we find that balance? How can we get that balance, Chris? Is it just trying to inject into the side some of those players on a more week-to-week basis, so they're not just going to be thrown in and we make 7 or 8 changes? I think that is a problem where Spurs have done that in the past in cup competitions. They make 7 or 8 changes. They go out of the cup for having no fluidity of play. Is it just a case of blending in 1 or 2 to try and find that balance on a week-to-week basis?
Wow, that FA Cup last season really got you, didn't it? It's still there, isn't it?
The past 14 years of cup competitions have got me, Chris.
I don't know. I just feel like that last one it really got to you, though.
I just get so emotionally attached to the cups.
I felt like it was a huge opportunity for us, because
the Carabao Cup to make 9 changes like we did on the night.
Yeah. And it was games like that where I actually thought he was going to bring in some of the youngsters, but he ended up not.
They sent Scarlett out alone the next day.
Yeah, and you know, and I do understand that completely, because it was just a huge opportunity. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
And Sanchez left a week. Sorry, I know you started me off now. And Sanchez left a week later. I thought, what's the bloody point of this? I can see Pat's getting more and more angry now.
Sanchez on pens was an absolute nightmare.
What was the point?
What is the point?
I'll never forgive Force to play those pens, man. I'll never forgive Force to play pens.
Oh, man.
We should have just left it there. It reminded me of Brad Friedel trying to get Brad Friedel to get up Brad for a penalty shootout.
Fraser Forster diving in slow motion.
That's the worst I've ever seen.
Yeah. He's like a statue going. It's crazy. Yeah, it's mental. Ricky, you're getting us all starting on this one.
I know. It's just
leave the cup.
But it is true, though.
It's meant to be a positive debate.
It is positive, but you learn from it. That's what I try to think.
Are we going to learn? It's the key, Chris, isn't it? I mean, it goes back to that point I said, you know, in this upcoming season, we just got to find the right blend in between bringing through the youth players, but in the right way, making 1 or 2 changes, not 7 or 8, if that makes sense. Bringing them in and having some experience next to them.
But look at all these names that we're saying right now. Like, there's so many of them. I've never known for us to be so involved, wanting to know about our youth team. And the podcast that you had with John, who does Lily White's, like, it was so fascinating to know from his, because he knows everything about it. It's crazy how how many players we actually have that have a huge opportunity and potential. And that's what it is, though. It's going to be a lot of competition for these boys now to go out there and become the player that they want to be. So
absolutely,
I think that's what they need to, mentality, that's what they've got to drive themselves. If they want to become big, then go out there and show us what the hell you have got. And not even that, to do this under Ange, I really think like he is the one that will want to progress. He will help build up these players. If you're in for it, I'm sure he will go out there and fully support you. And even our team at the moment, I mean, look at them. They're so close. I've never seen the bond so strong, like, from previous seasons. I feel like whoever comes in, they're going to help them out as well. I think it's a really, really good squad that we've got. We've got a really good set of good players. Like, they're just good people. Good. I know it sounds a bit weird,
it's fair.
But,
they are good people. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They've got good profiles there. Yeah,
of course. But I think that's what Ange is building up on that as well. Like, I don't think he wants these big egos to come in and take over the changing rooms. We don't want that. I think, it's just, I think it's an important thing to take in when you are buying players. That's why I'm not going to lie, I'm not a fan of Ivan Toney. I know a lot of people saw him yesterday and he did play well, but I just don't like his attitude. I really do not
Christina, that's where me and you are going to disagree, because I feel that we've got too many nice guys, and that's not a problem, don't get me wrong, but you do need a rough and ready, someone that is going to piss.
But you've got Ramiro and Richarlison for that.
Yeah,
you can get players like that.
I agree, but Richarlison isn't at the level that Ivan Toney is at. So I feel that Ivan Toney can be that guy, but he's going to also get you goals. And Richarlison is a good player, don't get me wrong. He's another one that will divide opinion. He's another one that I feel if he makes a move somewhere else, you'll see him if he's playing regularly in his right position. Because don't forget, Richarlison's been played on the wing. He's been played here, there, and everywhere. If he's played as a number 9 for a decent team, the guy can get you goals. It's whether he can stay fit. But I do feel
I just don't want him disrespecting the club. That's the thing. It's just attitudes like that.
I feel that he's probably a bit older, a bit wiser now. Yeah. I feel that. Obviously, when the Brentford thing come out, he was young.
He had a good game yesterday.
I've got to say also on this point, guys, with Toney, I mean, the reality is that if no other bigger club's going to come in for him, he'll love to come to Tottenham. Because again, you look 100. At who's going to come in for him. Reality is, who else is going to come in from outside the top 5, top 6? You've got to be realistic on that.
What happened with the betting thing, even though it's not nice what happened to him personally, that's probably, if we go for him, that's going to be very fortuitous for us, because if he didn't have had that ban and obviously the black cloud over him, I'm pretty sure a lot of bigger clubs would have been circling. So as long as Brentford don't be silly with the asking fee, I feel we need to snap him up, man. Prem proven, definitely get you 20 goals a season. He's a very good player. You see it, like the touches, bringing people into play, knows where the back of the net is, links up well with. I like him. I think I've
got a tap in here for Billy here. Is he worth a gamble, Ivan Toney? Bill, what do you mean?
He's worth an odds-on bet each way, man. But I think you know what? I just want a striker. I just want a striker. Every window we're getting with a versatile wide player. I want a striker. I want an actual
100.
striker. I'm sick of getting these wingers that can also play in the front three, man. I just want an actual striker. And Toney, I thought he was really good yesterday when he came on. I just, I'm a massive sucker for a bit of shithousery, man. I love that. I love that stuff.
I mean,
but we all are. I just feel like there's a level of it, and I feel like someone like, for example, even like Dele Alli, he was perfect for it.
Yeah,
but he
would not
really, disrespect.
Yeah,
listen, if Mo is available, let's just get it done. Let's get him as well.
I tell you, it was really wound me up.
You see him in the England t-shirt.
I'm still not over Neil Maupay last season. He's a little rat, isn't he? Neil Maupay. I tell you what, that guy, honestly, grinded the gears. I tell you. I mean, if I was to ask you, Bill, who at the moment would you say would be top of your list to bring in a striker tomorrow that you feel will hit the ground running? Have you got in your mind a kind of top 3 that you would love to see at Spurs? Striker wise,
I'm a dreamer, man. I like to dream. I want Alexander Isak. We're a big club. We can afford it, but we won't do it. But that's what I would do. I put 100 million in front of Newcastle tomorrow. Go and fucking sign him, man. He will take us to the next level. I'm sick of getting these sort of players that are just pushing us a little bit, moving the needle a little bit. I want a proper floor raiser. I want to move the needle. I want to go and get Alexander Isak. I like the guy at Sporting Lisbon as well, 𝐿𝐸. I think he'd be decent, and Tony. But I just want a striker. I really just want to sign a striker. I love Richarlison, but I just want 2 strikers in my team. I'm sick of getting all these versatile wide players. You know, we're a big club. We've got unlimited financial fair play funds to play with, pretty much. Just go and sign back tomorrow. Get it done.
I mean, we're the only football club I know that needs a striker. We just can't buy another 2 wingers. I mean, just can't make it up.
That's what it'll be. That's what I guarantee we'll get 2.
Go get another winger. Yeah, I mean, we need a striker. Another winger's under there. Yeah, I mean, again, look, I think let's hope the window itself will, even itself out. I think at the moment, as we've seen, no one is really doing a lot of business unless you're Chelsea, unless you're Forest, unless you're Everton. You see where I'm going with this?
We've just had 2 signings. Of course,
we've had 2 signings. Yeah, we're busy. We're busy. We're keeping busy. We are. Look, what has been busy as well, we touched upon it last week, was the fact Spurs never change around in coaching staff. So we are going to go for our final break of the show. For our listeners on audio, we've got nearly over 5,000 of you that are watching us live on X, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. Look, guys, again, thank you so much for all your incredible support for the show. I'm joined by Chatty Patty. I'm joined by Christina Zanders. And I'm joined by debutant Billy T on this last word on Spurs. I tell you what, I love when you look at some of the chats on here when we've got you mentioned strikers, it all kicks off and it then slowly calms down again. Then it raises again, then it slowly calms down again. And we change topic and we're going to change the topic again and go veer off. Right, we're going to talk very quickly about the coaching staff. So some of this might be old news, but we didn't really address it on the last show. So just to bring it in very quickly into play, Spurs did make some key changes to Ange's coaching staff ahead of the 24-25 season. It did see, of course, as we knew beforehand, Chris Davies depart to Birmingham City to become their manager. It meant that gap was free to have a senior assistant, which has now been taken upon by Matt Wells, who is, very well known around Spurs, the former academy player, under-18s boss, of course, worked alongside Ange last season, got himself a promotion. I think many maybe were quite surprised that we saw Ryan Mason overlooked on that. I mean, Bill, I'll come to you to start with. Obviously, we've had a couple of new additions as well, in the likes of, we've got the Portuguese coach Raimundo. Sounds like some kind of magician, doesn't it? I mean, we don't know it's going to come out, rabbit out of a hat, Raimundo, the great Raimundo. What is he going to do? And of course, Nick Montgomery also joining to make up that coaching staff. Any real surprise in that for you, Bill? Was you expecting more changes in terms of outgoings, or how do you look at that now a week on?
I want a set piece coach. I think the top clubs in the league will have one. We were really successful in it when we had one under Gianni Vio. And, I absolutely adore Ange. I love everything about him. But my one gripe with him is that he seems adamant not to get a set piece coach. And I think the way that the game is now, it's like it's so fine margins. Like it's going to, it can score you 7+ goals a season. It can save 7 goals a season defensively as well. I really want a set piece coach. And if he wants to stick Australian, just get Kylie Minogue as a set piece coach. I'll do it. Anyone at all. Just bring me a set piece coach, please. That's my only gripe with this whole thing. I don't really have much to say about the managers because I don't know anything about them. But yeah, I just want a set piece coach.
Yeah, I just got that horrible song, It's in Your Eyes, as we continue from yet another set piece, the 15th of the season. We still refuse to get a set piece coach. I'll be looking at Billy in the South saying, why are we not that bloody set piece coach yet? But what made me laugh last season with the set piece is that every time a goal went in, someone could bring Giovanni Vale back. Giovanni Vale was the guy that was dealing with the attacking element, not the defensive element. But every time a goal went in, everyone was saying, bring Giovanni Vale back.
Apparently it's Stellini did defensive. Just bring him back. Get him back. Stellini did the defensive ones. I'll do it. I'll take anyone at this point, man. I'll take anyone. Give me O'Hara. Just bring me a set piece coach, please. Anyone will do. The guy from the Go Compare adverts. Just someone to do it as a job, please.
You'd like to think someone's better than no one, right? I don't know. What do you reckon, Pat, for you? I mean, we discussed briefly off air about the changes to the coaching staff. Look, he's brought in 2 people that are very much alike to the way he wants to play football. They're disciplinarians. They're almost military-like in terms of their approach. What do you think about that, Pat? There's going to be a real shake-up there. I think the key thing is when we had on this show a couple of weeks ago, the author of Ange's autobiography, he was making the point that realistically you want to have people there that are believers in the way Ange Postecoglou wants to play. And maybe that was the problem towards the back end of last season. What we did see, there was a lack of belief, both in the players and maybe, dare I say, in the coaching staff, which is why I was quite surprised, Pat, not sure if you was the same, that we actually didn't really see any outgoings, apart from obviously Chris Davies. I thought we might have actually seen a bit more of a change in the backroom staff. We brought a couple of additions in. What do you feel for you, Pat, on that coaching staff? Are we more equipped in your minds for Ange Ball second season in?
You know what? I can't lie to you.
I'm asking you that question. I'm thinking, how are even you meant to answer that? Even I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know these guys. I mean, if Ange believes and trusts in them, then I just have to go with what he's thinking and feeling. I don't. When the names were announced, I was like, who? Like, with all due respect, I don't know who they are. It's not like Jedinak, who we know he was at Crystal Palace and he's been, obviously doing coaching in Australia and all of that. I don't really know much about these guys. Allegedly, they play the brand of football and the philosophies are similar to Ange's. I have to trust in him in that sense. I do understand that, when we were playing Manchester City and the fans were divided and a lot of us behind closed doors wanted us to lose and some of us were very vocal about it, there was a bit of a rumbling and a bit of a mix-up because Ange was upset that some of the people inside the camp were also making those same sort of jokes. So I did understand that maybe he was going to bring some people in that maybe was a bit more of his mindset, even though I felt that Ange didn't really understand what was going on and didn't really get it. He's come out and said that he didn't understand the magnitude and how big the rivalry was, which was a bit weird at the time considering he was the manager at Celtic and obviously they've got the Old Firm derby and all of that. But yeah, I don't know, Ricky. I can't really answer that question because I don't know much about them. I never want to be one of those guys that just sits here and just lies to people and pretends I know everything about everything I don't. And yeah, your guess is as good as mine on that one.
Okay, interesting. Pat leaving as a no, that's a no comment there, wasn't it? Really. I mean, Chris, what do you feel for you? I know people making the jokes about the great Raimondo from Only Fools and Horses. Look, let's hope they have got some magic tricks next season. What do you reckon? I mean, is it important, Chris, that he's brought in two men that he seems to know really, really well, and will hopefully give him the belief that they can really push the element around the football they want to play to the playing squad? I mean, again, like Pat says, we don't know these guys very, very well. But I think the key thing is what it does appear from the outside looking in. And one thing we've always questioned is that it looks like the manager is getting what he wants.
Which is what we all say. Like, the manager gets, the manager wants what he, I don't even know what the saying is anymore. But anyway, forget about what I just said. No, he's had his first season with us at the end of the day. He's learned from it, I'm hoping. He knows exactly what those errors are. And hopefully next season now, and right at the start, he will go in strong. And that's, I guess we just got to trust with, what he's bringing in. Yeah. And it was just so obvious and very clear with those set pieces. We just could not defend the corners. Don't even get me started on the corners.
That's again back to Billy's point there. Is there a concern that we haven't brought in a set piece coach? Would you like to see a set piece coach being brought in?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's because for me,
I just think football is now, as Bill said, football's evolving now tactically in such a way where, I mean, look, I hate to bring them not down the road into this conversation. I think they got an extra 7 or 8 points alone off the back of having a set piece coach that really got to know what the other teams do and just did it better. And I think, again, like football now, the margins, and you've got to really try and exercise those margins because football is so fine margins, as we know, Chris.
It's just it shows how important it actually is. Yep. And we really got humiliated last season with it. And people took advantage of that. We just got to see how it goes, I guess. But it's still early days. I mean, someone could come in. I don't know.
Well, look, from what we've been told, that is now the finalised coaching staff. So, look, who knows?
Could be an extra. I don't know. But because I don't know any of these names like Pat as well. I haven't got really a clue. But all I know is for sure is that we struggled with set pieces last season. And I do not want to get humiliated like that again. So, we'll just got to see. I have trust.
It's the first time on this show that Pat has been non-committal about something, which I'm really concerned about now. Normally he's got an opinion for everything. Now I don't want to say anything, which is a bit worrying. That's a first. Don't happen often on Last Word On Spurs. Just happen now. Bill, look, let's come over to you. I want to ask you guys to summarise and finish up. What does everybody now need for the rest of the window to convince them that Spurs are equipped to, maybe I'm wrong to say challenge for the title, but look, that's what Anne just told us he wants to do. What do they need to do, Bill, for you to go into next season fully confident in what we want to try and do?
I got one word, man, and then one word only, and that word is Eze. I just want him. I don't really care who else we sign. That's the one I want. I think that's a game changer for us. That's the one which is going to take us to the next level. I spent the weekend with my nan, who's a Tottenham fan. She's been a Tottenham fan for about 60 years. I'd happily swap her for Eze if it came down to it. I'd do anything for Eze. She's a lovely woman, but she can't play across the front three and then the number 8. So
was going to say, is that why you look so? Is that why you look so depressed when you came on here? He spent the whole weekend with her, bless her. She's seen us with nothing for all these years. God help him.
And I want Eze. I really want Eze. That's the game changer for us. So as long as we do that, I don't really care what else happens.
So just to be clear, Bill, for you, I know I don't want to. For you, Eze and a striker, or Eze alone for you now, is that enough? How do you feel on that?
If we did get Eze, I'd be willing to sort of, to make a couple of compromises elsewhere. But I think if we're really serious about going to the very next level, we have to strengthen in a number of positions. Eze and a striker, would be ideal. It depends how serious we are. If we want to continue to do what we normally do and sort of challenge the top four, then to get Eze. But if we really want to move the needle, challenge for the top, then we're going to have to get in 2 or 3 players of that quality, I think. But for now, I'd be just happy with Eze.
And Emerson Royale, we're driving him, we're keeping him. We're going to see what happens right on that one.
Keep him, Give him a lifetime contract.
Bill's already set. He's already set him before he even went. Right. What is it? We're going to come out
of that. Get that San Siro season ticket next year.
Oh dear, I can't take this. We're going to get you back on. We are going to get back on. But before we come back round,
we just with Kyle Walker-Peters as well. My mind's going.
I've just seen.
I've got Kyle Walker-Peters and Sal Emerson. I'm out.
We've gone back to 2020. We're bringing Kyle Walker-Peters in. Emerson's going out. We'll be having the same arguments we had 4 years ago. I'll make this football club up. It's a basket case. And we'll see Marcus Edwards come back in and we'll drop off on and we'll send Bergo out on loan. You can't make this up. I tell you, this football club, honestly, it's a never-ending drama. It really, really is. I was going to say, on that point, we'll come around to Chris next. We understand Spurs and Brighton are interested in bringing Kyle Walker-Peters in. Look, I think, again, this is an hour and exploring loophole around, you'd think, the homegrown quota. Is he a player Spurs need, Chris? I mean, look, again, they're looking to obviously offload Emerson Royale. I've got to be honest and say to you, I don't watch Southampton every week. I think what I would say is, again, I don't want to sound like I'm, championing the championship clubs here, but a player that Southampton fans do genuinely like in Kyle Walker-Peters. They'd be ashamed to see him go. How do you feel about maybe the return of Kyle Walker-Peters in a Spurs shirt?
I'm not really
doesn't really
it doesn't really for me. I've not really seen. I mean, to me, he's sort of that level at Southampton.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry. Is Sally your nan, by the way, Billy?
I know. All right, Sally.
Sorry, I've just seen that.
Sorry,
but no,
Like she's not enough this weekend. She's had him all their weekend. Do you know what I mean?
Poor Sally. Kyle Walker-Peters, I feel like that's at his level. I mean, I wasn't really too. No, to be honest, I haven't really seen much of him at Southampton anyway. But I just feel like with all the players that we've already got now, the youngsters, like, is it necessary? I don't know. I just feel like we've already got a lot of potential already. And Eze, to me, is the number one, 100% the number one priority. And if I want to be spoiled, again, we need to get a big striker. We generally need to get a big striker. And
you're saying Eze and a number 9?
I mean, that's if I'm being spoiled. That's if I'm really pushing it. If we want to go and win big, if we want to
can I ask you a question on this, Chris? Are you saying for next season, if Spurs do go and get Eze, you've still got the confidence of having Richarlison as a genuine number 9 because Eze would play as a 10 or off the wing?
I just feel like Richarlison's going to be back. I don't know. We need to get a striker. I think. I don't know.
The reason why I'm calculating this, they've got the 25 to 30 million they've just done on obviously Archie Gray. They're then going to look to bring Eze in. That's going to be at least 60. That's 90 there, and then again for a striker. Oh, listen,
that's if I'm being spoiled. That's what I mean.
I'm only looking at what we've done. I'm only looking at previous history. What Spurs tend to spend in a window. I'd love to see them go and do that. There's no reason they shouldn't do that. There's no reason they shouldn't do that. I'm just thinking, will they do that?
The thing is, though, this is a question for you, actually. Like, would you rather us, say if we got Eze and then we got a striker, which was probably a bit lower, would you rather go for them or wait another season to get someone big?
It depends who the striker is. It really depends who that striker is.
It's just... I know
Pat, coming in on this debate, Pat, where do you stand? I mean, look, I think Eze is the one that a lot of Spurs fans want, but at the same time, look, whilst that addresses to some degree the need for a creative winger that has got an end product, Spurs still need number 9, in my opinion. I don't know whether you agree on that, Pat. Do they need a number 9 and Eze?
This is my book. Excuse my writing, but this is my book on the 21st of the 5th, as you can see with the date there. So you lot know I'm not gassing. Players I want in the summer. So this is over a month and a bit ago.
I'm concerned. Look at the wad of that book. Is that our striker targets there?
He's been leaning on that a lot.
Yeah. So winger Nico Williams
or
coordination.
I'm liking digging the colour coordination as well.
Striker,
I love that.
Ivan Toney or Victor Gyökeres. A DM or a 6. Maybe we got Archie Gray in, so maybe we relax on that one. But I wanted Paulinho or Ugarte. And then, as you can see, Eze. I just put Isaac in today after you lot shout, but that's obviously not a realistic one. But all the guys I mentioned are realistic. They're attainable targets. They're very good players. Paulinho's going by Munich, probably. Ugarte is linked to Man United at the moment. Ivan Toney is available. Victor Gyökeres is available if you put the funds up. Nico Williams is balling out at the Euros right now. Rafinha's fantastic. These are the guys that will take us to the next level. And I know Christina's saying if we're being greedy, these are the players I'm demanding. That's the level I'm demanding for us to be at so we can actually challenge. Forget fighting for top 4. We need to win something next season. I'll be real. Obviously, I was one of the guys. I was one of the guys that said that I didn't want us to finish in the top 4 if we were stuttering and stammering over the line. Yeah. Because I wanted us to go into the Europa League and win it. Not just to be in it, to win it. We're in the Europa League now. We need to win it.
Next season. They got the
guys that I've mentioned here will help us win some sort of silverware next season. I'm tired of being a also ran or a bridesmaid or a nearly guy. I need us to win silverware.
It's
now.
like the almost. Oh, we almost got there.
Exactly. And, you know, oh yeah, we had a good season, and maybe next year. If you don't buy the players that are ready to win things now, we're never going to be there. And like I said, I'm okay with Archie Gray and a Bergvall and all of these guys as long as we get the ready-made players as well. Yeah. So your Ezes, your Tonys, your this, your that, all the guys I mentioned. So man, for me, I don't understand why we can't do it. We've got more than enough money in the bank. Yeah. We're a well-run institution. We meet all the quotas when it comes to...
That's up for debate. An institution, what we like. Bit of a basket case.
We're in terms of the money there, it's already available.
Oh, yeah, the money, yeah.
Self-sustaining. There's no issues in FFP. There's no issues in PSR. There's no issues whatsoever. The company, the stadium makes so much money every game day. There's no excuses now. The manager's here. He's set. He's on a long-term contract. They obviously like him. The players like him. Everything's positive about the club, so go out and back him. There's no excuses now. It's not maybe like Conte's here for 18 months and
I think that's again why many. I think that brings us back to that point, Pat, right at the start of the show, and we look at the sign of Archie Gray and we sit here and say, is this guy a club signing, or is this a guy that Ange Postecoglou has identified? I mean, we're being told by a lot of the media outlets that Ange has spoken to the player and convinced him to join. So we have to
exactly. So there's no excuses no more. There's no. It's not like we're treading on eggshells, waiting for the manager to sign a new long-term contract, or we're worrying about is our star player, i.e. Harry Kane, going to leave next season. There's none of that. Every player looks like they're in it. Every player looks like they want to be here. The manager looks like he wants to be here. So go out and back them.
Yeah.
Even like with my mentality saying that, like, oh, if I'm being, if I want to be like cheeky buying extra, no, I shouldn't. We should just go for it. Like, like you said, we've 100% got the money.
The mindset needs to change, and that's from everyone, the fan base. We need to go and back the players now, back the manager, get behind them, and go out to win things.
Joe, I've got to say, this is the thing as well. I mean, the reality is that I've said this for a very, very long time, that as a fan base, I know Lee bangs on about it a lot on this show. I think we're also our own biggest, worst enemies, our mindset as well. But that's the thing. I say this, again, not getting too emotional and deep about it. We've been emotionally scarred by this football club for so many years that we go to Billy's Twitter just to get some light relief of our life at the moment with regards to anything Spurs related. Just the nature of it. We just need something as a release. Do you know what I mean? And you got Billy that's going to guarantee you once a week some kind of a laugh at our own expense because of the nature of what we've had. I mean, again, you must be quite lucky, Bill, that for your comedic outlet, Spurs have given you plenty of opportunity to indulge in that, right?
Yeah, I maintain I don't have to do anything. I just have to point at Tottenham and say this is what we do. And we sign any players just now. We just set up a supporters trust for dogs. So that's what our club have been doing this summer so far. Got the fucking Tottenham Hotspurs or Hotspurs, whatever they're called. So we'll be.
Never forget that. Never forget that deadline day. We're done, but we've just filtered a new set of kittens. I mean, that kind of summed up Spurs on a deadline day.
And then the Dulux dog. It's literally we've had it all.
I don't have to do anything. I just have to put at Tottenham and they do the rest.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, let's close it on some professional news. Spurs have announced that BetMGM are going to be their new training wear sponsors to take over from Gautier on a 3-year deal. Can't really make this up.
Ivan Toney can't join now.
I don't know. I say, look, I mean, quite interesting. I think this is going to be one of the first seasons in which Spurs are not going to have an actual sponsor on the side of their shirt. When I say that, on the arm of the shirt, so that means that I say you will be going into the shop buying your kit for what I believe is around the 125 mark. If you want elite, is it 95 if you want the standard? And yeah, Spurs have announced that.
Mental, by the way, the prices are insane. Something needs to be done because if you're someone that's got a couple kids and they want names on the back and badges, you're spending about £300-400. It's mental. It's insane.
Shout out DHK.
You can't say that on there, man. You can't say that.
Man.
Well, we've just been banned. Apart from that, we're back with you next week.
Billy's first appearance, and he's got us banned.
Billy's first appearance, and we're all finished. There goes 7 years of work. We'll bring it back. We'll come back with Last Word on Spurs on Leeds. There's a few Leeds fans in here that can take this over. Listen, we're going to leave it there. I think, like I say, lots going on in the world of Spurs, but like I say, at the moment, they are closing in on Archie Gray. We made that point earlier in the show that it appears that it was Ange Postecoglou who persuaded him to join the club over other suitors, and Spurs are going to be set to get their man. That will be announced on Tuesday. We understand Ange's plan was approved by the board for Archie Gray. And look, for many out there that have been concerned as to whether it's an Ange Postecoglou signing, he gave it the green light. That's all you can ask for and more with regards to how we stand on that one. I'm sure, like I say, when he gets in that Spurs shirt and we all see the first interview, we're all going to get behind the player. But again, I think fans are well within their rights to be a bit unsure as to whether that will affect other targets based on Spurs' history of the transfer market. So look, we shall see. I want to say a massive thank you to our watching audience. Thank you so much. Nearly over 5,000 of you watching us live as we battle the Euros and all things football out there. I know the tennis is back soon as well. Jason's been reminding me on a daily basis. I want to say a massive thank you to this wonderful panel. I want to say, Patty, thank you so much. Absolute pleasure to have you back on.
Oh, sorry, I was reading the comments, so yeah, apologies. I got lost in the comments as you was yeah, always a pleasure. Billy, you're amazing. Christina, you're fantastic. Ricky, you're always good. And yeah, man, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Look, more to come your way, more to cut up and shape up during the summer, that's for sure. Chris, thank you so much. It felt like it's been a while. They come round fast. It's all a bit of fun, right?
It's really insane how, God, we're going to be talking about the first game of the season soon. I can't even.
I know.
Oh,
pre-season. Well, listen, the game's starting in a couple of weeks' time.
It's crazy. It's actually insane. Yeah. But anyways, if Andrew's watching this, just, give this guy a little call. Go on. Go on, try it.
What do you make? I've got to ask you, Chris, what do you make of the new haircut? What's that about?
Well, we're not talking about it. I'm quite emotional because that's
not sure what happened now.
I don't know what the He-Man's going on. I really don't know. It's awful.
For our listeners on audio, that's Jack Grealish we're referring to. Can't really work out what's happening, that's for sure. I want to say a massive thank you to the wonderful Billy T. Bill, thank you so much for making your debut. We'd love to get you back on at some point in the upcoming season as we crash out of another third round. Round side.
All right, Ricky, come on, man. We talk about the fan base's mentality, and then you're there saying stuff like,
I know, but listen, I know what's coming. And the problem is, I get so invested in these cup ties. For me, and I don't let you fans go down. I get so invested in the cup ties more than the Premier League. So when we crash out of a third round cup tie, that really finishes me. So look, we're going to keep it positive. We are going to keep it positive. Archie Gray is closing on the move to Spurs. He will be Spurs' second signing of the summer. Listen, Spurs are just getting going. From myself, from the wonderful Patty, from the brilliant Christina, from the superb Billy T. We've been the Last Word on Spurs. Please keep safe, keep well, and as always, come on you Spurs.